Good morning, class. Today we are going to read Let's Go Home, Little Bear. Now, as we're reading, we're going to still use our check for understanding strategy, and we're also going to learn a new strategy when we come across words that might be a little bit difficult for us to read. Once there were two bears, Big Bear and Little Bear. Big Bear is the big bear, and Little Bear is the little bear. They went for a walk in the woods. They walked and they walked and they walked until Big Bear said, "Let's go home, Little Bear." So they started back home on the path through the woods. Let me see if I remember what I just read. Who is this story about? We have two characters, Little Bear and Big Bear. And what are they doing? They're going on a walk through the woods. And once they walked all they wanted, they decided to turn around and go home. Plod, 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 went Big Bear plodding along. Little Bear ran on in front, jumping and sliding and having great fun. And then Little Bear stooped and he listened, and then he turned around and he looked. Now, I don't really know what the word stooped means, so I'm going to go back and check. Now, I noticed that when I look back on this word, there are three questions that I can ask myself. And this is where we'll learn our strategy called cross-checking. So, when I'm cross-checking a word, I'll look at the word. So right now the word I'm having trouble with is stooped. And so one way to remember this is I can say, does it look right? And put my hand on my shoulder. Then cross my other hand over and say, does it sound right? And then for the last question, arms by my side, does it make sense? So stooped. Does it look right? When I look at the pictures, I don't know anything about stoop. And the bear's standing there very still. Does it sound right? No. And does it make any sense? It doesn't. So it looks as if Little Bear is still, or maybe he stopped and listened. I know that stopped means that he is not moving anymore. Let's reread it again. And then Little Bear stopped and he listened. And then he turned around and he looked. So stopped. Does it look right? It does. Does it sound right? It does. And does it make sense? And based on the picture, it makes sense. Let's keep reading. "Come on, Little Bear," said Big Bear. But Little Bear didn't stir. "I thought I heard something," Little Bear said. "What did you hear?" said Big Bear. "Plod, plod, plod," said Little Bear. "I think it's a plodder." Big Bear turned around and he listened and looked. No plodder was there. "Let's go home, Little Bear," said Big Bear. "The plod was my feet in the snow." They set off again on the path through the woods. Plod, 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 went Big Bear with Little Bear, walking beside him, just glancing a bit now and again. And then Little Bear stopped and he listened, and then he turned around and he looked. So let me see if I remember what's going on. Little Bear and Big Bear are on their way home, and Little Bear keeps hearing these noises, and so he stops to see what they are. The last noise was Big Bear, so let's see if this one was Big Bear again. "Come on, Little Bear," said Big Bear. But Little Bear didn't stir. "I thought I heard something," Little Bear said. "What did you hear?" said Big Bear. "Drip, drip, drip," said Little Bear. "I think it's a dripper." Big Bear turned around and he listened and looked. No dripper was there. "Let's go home, Little Bear," said Big Bear. "That was the ice as it driped in the stream." Now, dripe doesn't sound familiar to me. So, does driped look right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? So I noticed that over here, half of the word driped is here in drip. So maybe if I change this to dripped in the stream, that makes more sense. So dripped looks right, it sounds right, and it makes sense. So now I can move on. They set off again on the path through the woods. Plod, 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 went Big Bear with Little Bear closer beside him. And then Little Bear stopped and he listened. And then he turned around and he looked. "Come on, Little Bear," said Big Bear. But Little Bear didn't stir. "I know I heard something this time," Little Bear said. "What did you hear?" said Big Bear. "Plop, plop, plop," said Little Bear. "I think it's a plopper." Big Bear turned around and he listened and looked. No plopper was there. "Let's go home, Little Bear," said Big Bear. "That was the snow plopping down from a branch." Plod, 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 went Big Bear along the path through the woods. But Little Bear walked slower and slower, and at last he sat down in the snow. "Come on, Little Bear," said Big Bear. "It's time we were both back home." But Little Bear sat and said nothing. "Come on and be carried," said Big Bear. Big Bear put Little Bear high on his back and set off down the path through the woods. "Whoo, whoo, whoo." "It is only the wind, Little Bear," said Big Bear, and he walked on down the path. Creak, creak, creak. "It's only the trees, Little Bear," said Big Bear, and he walked on down the path. Plod, plod, plod. "It is only the sound of my feet again," said Big Bear, as he plodded on and on until they came back home to the cave. Big Bear and Little Bear went down into the dark and dark of their own bear cave. "Just stay there, Little Bear," said Big Bear, putting Little Bear in the bear chair with a blanket to keep him warm. Big Bear stirred up the fire from the embers and lighted the lamps and made the bear cave all cozy again. "Now tell me a story," Little Bear said. Now I don't know the word cozy, so to me it doesn't look right, it doesn't sound right, and it doesn't make sense. So, when I look around at the pictures, I see that Big Bear has a lantern. Big Bear wrapped Little Bear in a blanket, and Big Bear started a fire. So when I'm all warm and cuddled up, sometimes I use the word cozy. Now cozy has a Z sound like it has a Z, and it has the same starting sound. So let me read it again. Big Bear stirred up the fire from the embers and lighted the lamps and made the bear cave all cozy again. Cozy looks right, it sounds right, and it makes sense. And Big Bear sat down on the bear chair with Little Bear curled up on his lap, and he told a story of plotters and drippers and ploppers and the sounds of the snow in the woods. And this Little Bear and this Big Bear plodding all the way home. So when I am using cross-checking, I am making sure that the words that I'm reading are making sense. And that helps me understand what I'm reading too. So on a card, I'm going to write cross-checking. And I'm going to put it under accuracy. Now, accuracy says I can read all the words. And since I'm figuring out words when I'm using this strategy, that's where I'm going to put it.